collective life study is the psychology of social development. That social development of human collectivity is not merely a growth from small units to larger and larger units, beginning with the family, the tribe, the clan, community, nation, international unity of whole mankind. That is one line of growth, where the collective life of man on earth has been building from small units to larger and larger units. That is one. And the largest unit now is almost inside mankind. The international situation has so worked that nations cannot retain their sovereignty for long, and unity of mankind has become almost imperative necessity. So, largest unit of collective life of man on earth is already, as you might say, in the offing. But another line of growth simultaneously also has taken place with this growth of collective life, and the units of collective life have been enlarging. But at the same time, through the collective consciousness, psychological factors have been acting. It is not merely a growth of group life, beginning with small groups and becoming large group only. Neither it is only a push given to collective life by circumstances, by environment, by history, by geography, by economic, causes or economic, situations. It is not that man is driven in his collective life by his environment. It's not merely that he is subject to forces which are external, economic, political, social, something which happens to be there and he is driven. He points out in this book, Human Cycle, that there has been effort on the part of collectivities to govern the life by certain psychological factors. And among those psychological factors, there have been societies that founded their whole working or highest values on religious values. There were times when societies tried to govern their life by aesthetics. There are times, now a time has come when society is trying to govern itself by reason and by science. Individualism and you can say kind of scientific attitude which rationalism and individualism. This is now the governing psychological factor of our collective life today. That is where we are. And he is making out now a case where we are, chapter 13th or 14th, I suppose 14th. That life has not been all along working in obedience to circumstances, outer forces, economics, desires, ambitions only, but it has been trying to seek something more than what reason can give, what logic can give, what the intellectual, seeking for mankind with the apparatus of science, whatever that can give, well, life is seeking something more than that. This is the proposition. Just in the last 3 chapters that we are going to work, and the 2 more that are coming, this is the main proposition. Now, as soon as you say something supra-rational, people get a sort of a fright nowadays because they think that they are very rational, which they are not. They are only subject to the atmosphere which papers create and which scientific progress in mankind has hypnotized them into thinking that they are rational beings. They are not rational because they don't put rational questions. They are only carried by the current of atmosphere that pervades or prevails in the air, you see. So as soon as something supra-rational comes, they think, oh, this is superstition, this is old grandmotherly story which we have outlived, and now we are in a modern age on the top of culture, all kinds of things they begin to think. He is showing by actual growth of collective life and the studies that supra-rational is the one direction in which collective life is pushing. All along, the drive of collective life has been to seek something supra-rational. The religious life, when it began, it was seeking for the supra-rational. And now we are at a place where he is trying to show truth when reason or intellect tries to get at the truth. As we done it in Life Divine and also in the morning classes, we have done that. That reason is not able to comprehend the truth because truth is infinite, reason is finite. And therefore, what reason does is to take the whole infinite reality or infinite truth, cut it into parts, and try to take each part and study it and consider this each part as the whole. And now, this knowledge of the part which reason takes as a whole is really speaking a limitation of reason and not it is its victory in that field, but it is limitation as far as the knowledge of the total, the reality is concerned. For instance, this universe is living. You don't grant that. All right, it is a whole, it is one. And reason is not able to cope with this whole one cosmos. Therefore, what it does is to cut it into bits and say, this is material world or matter. Cut another bit and say, this is life. Cut another bit and say, this is mind. And then each part it takes and tries to study. Again, in each there are departments. When it says matter, it's not one matter, it becomes whole field of infinity again, because matter also reveals out it is not inorganic, it is not organic, it is all kinds of things again. When you come to life, it is still more complex. When you come to mind, it's much more complex. So each department of cosmic reality which reason tackles, she is compelled to tackle and take it in part. And because it takes it in part, well, its knowledge is partial. It cannot be of the whole one. And then whatever knowledge it acquires is limited. The truth that is to be known is infinite, and it is supra-rational. That which is at work in the cosmos is something not rational, and truth in its highest status or plane is beyond the range of reason. Men have known it in religious life, in philosophy, and in their effort at mystic life, in their many other activities. Men have known something about it. So that is one. Now he takes up in this part beauty. And we said that in the morning class or somewhere it was, that search for beauty is not at all rational. It has nothing to do with reason. It's not rational to seek for beauty. The whole realm is outside the realm of reason. A man wanting or wishing to satisfy his aesthetic taste or sense of beauty, well, certainly he is not acting rationally. There is nothing rational about it. So the realm of religion we have seen is the realm of the supra-rational, but other spheres of human activity and human consciousness in collective life and in cultural activity of mankind, well, we find that reason also there is not the sovereign capacity of man. Reason stands between two powers, as we saw, an intermediary between the lower infra-rational and something beyond, which is supra-rational. Reason intervenes between the two, stands as intermediate power to connect this, first control the infra-rational, purify, organize, control them, and bring them into a kind of integration under its control. But even that control is never complete. That's what we have seen. And we have discussed that problem already. And when that is organized in lower being of man, infra-rational part of man, his impulses, his passions, his unconscious movements, his vital being and his cravings, ambitions, all these, when it is brought under some sort of control by reason, then reason is an intermediary to connect this whole organized consciousness with something supra-rational, beyond reason. That is its real office. Instead, reason is now trying, and it is actually dominating the whole of mankind today. And all the problems of man, when we feel the problem, appear to be as if they are due to economics, due to some maladjustment, something we have to do. It is not that. The collective life is so dominated by this practical reason, as we call it, not idealistic reason like the Greeks, but practical reason and application of it to life by scientific discoveries, that economy has become now the highest value of collective life. And the problem is how to create an atmosphere for collective life in which the human individual can find his fulfillment. Now we have created a culture or a condition in collective life where the large number of mankind, the majority, is compelled to submit to this economy-centric outlook as if it was something very high, which it is not. And he find no fulfillment because society is so dominated by economics that only to get food and to get clothes and to get house, well, money is at the end of his energies. And we say, what a wonderful culture we have created. We think we are at the top of culture. It has nothing to do. It's like the animals grazing in the field. They graze and they take rest and they have a house. What more has man done? Yes, he has organized himself. That is good. So have the bees. What's the meaning of saying that we have organized? I mean, it is good. I don't say it is not necessary. It is necessary. But to have organized means as if you are reach the top of culture. Not at all. You have to go to radical values of culture, human consciousness and human being. In what consists this fulfillment? That is the problem. And then you will see that this is quite wrong. This value has to be graded down. It has to find its proper place. We do not say that economic organization is not necessary in life today. It is indispensable. International life is so complex today, and the exchange on economic level that is taking place on a colossal scale that never happened in history before, so that without organization we cannot go on. But to put that as if that was something so big for humanity, for collective life, always to look up to, is something which you are wronging the whole human spirit, the greatness and grandeur of human spirit. And not only we are crushing down 80 to 85% of human material. Under the weight is economic centric outlook, 80% to 85% of people are not even finding a chance to know what they are doing, why they are here, why they are moving, why do they earn, what do they go for earning, why do they earn at all? They never put this question. There is no time. They have not even the time to stand and say, all right, why do I want to run at 7 in the morning and come back at 8 in the night tired, and what is all this? Why am I doing it? He has no time to put this question even to himself. Such a machine has been created, you see. And this economy-centric outlook leads to such a mechanical, round that the consciousness of man, which is really the, the thing to tackle, well, is left untouched, absolutely untouched. As if man doesn't matter, only running of life, round and round, some machine or economic value is most important. And human material must go round, whether it is ground down, it doesn't matter. And this seeking for beauty, he is pointing out, in arts, poetry, painting, sculpture, architecture. Well, this seeking is, in man, it is the highest, intensest expression. It is one faculty in man which can reach at its highest. If you say a perfect individual or a perfect collective life, you always have the idea that it must have some element of beauty in it. You can't conceive a perfect individual without some sense of aesthetics about him. Or a perfect collective life, a community or group life in which there is no sense of aesthetics or beauty. And that is not a rational thing. He is pointing out here in this chapter that perfect individual and perfect collectivity, well, takes for granted in our mind a conception of beauty. But seeking for beauty is not at all rational. It is some kind of an instinct, something which instinctively seeks aesthetic satisfaction and seeks capacity, satisfaction of creative power in man. You can say at the most that reason can come in to correct and to enlighten the taste of man to some extent. If the taste is vulgar or, primitive, reason can come and enlighten the taste or refine it to some extent. It can take up this instinct for beauty, and when it is infra-rational, the reason can come in and correct it. But the most powerful creations of beauty are always surpassed. Reason is always surpassed in the greatest creations of beauty. Wherever you see in any field of cultural activity, poetry, painting, sculpture or art, you will see that it has gone beyond the limit of rationality. It is beyond reason. Then otherwise it is not high creation. I gave this instance to this boy. I suppose was it not at the art lecture, I think. I gave them one instance how the expression in art not only goes beyond reason, but flouts the evidence of the sense. Our sense says this is a stone or a Grecian urn, and kids take it up and says it's not Grecian urn at all, it is eternity. He takes up a Grecian or nothing else, and on which there is a, Grecian and is painted, a fine scene is there and so on, shepherd and something there on the, and he says, this you think is a piece of earth, Grecian earth, it's not, it's eternity. History is fixed up there, he says. Now, you see, now he is actually taking a piece of earth and by artistic alchemy, he is turning into a piece of eternity. Now, the same is done in Shelley's Skylark. I gave you that line, you remember? When poet is addressing the skylark in his poem, Shelley, he says, "Hail to thee, blithe spirit, bird thou never wert." He is addressing a skylark. He is addressing a skylark and he says, "Bird thou never wert." Not only you are not a bird, you never were a bird. That is art. It goes not only beyond reason, but beyond sense evidence. What I want to point out to you is that when you talk about something suprarational, people today, because so much dominated by this, practical outlook of this so-called science, which thinks that it is the almighty and so on, it is not at all that. But the people are under its domination and think, oh, suprarational is superstition. They don't know that every minute they are going about in the suprarational. They don't realize how much suprarational is about them. Well, in all their arts, you see, this is flouting the evidence of the sense. Now, he says that it is not rational. Reason may come to correct, but creation of beauty does not fall in the sphere of reason at all. Supra-physical influx, light or power, power of vision, power of inspiration is necessary to give you the highest creation and not rationality. Well, you can, he says, do something with your intellect. That is not creation but construction. Make a bridge, yes, golden bridge. That's all right. It is a reason can construct, but to create you have something more than reason. To create greatly, create mightily. It can create, it can construct well, but it wouldn't be creation. And in arts like poetry and other arts, reason has a secondary place. When reason takes hold of this taste of man, artistic taste, takes hold of his artistic perception and tries to put into it some sort of correct technique and insist that technique must be quite perfect. In that case, under the guidance of reason, the artistic creation will be classical. Classical in the sense of, you can say that the spirit of classical creation or classical art brings out the universal and subordinates the individual expression to its universal, appeal. It is not what one has felt, but what everyone can feel. Supposing somebody has lost a relation. Now, so many people lose, every day somebody. And therefore, a wail or a weeping would not be an artistic expression. You see, if somebody weeps because somebody is dead, well, it's not art. It is real emotion and true feeling, but it's not art. Art is, he would say, the classical people would say, when your individual experience is divested of its personal elements, all that belongs to you, it's separated from it and taken to a realm of inner experience where it becomes universal, cosmic, and you feel through that individual experience the impact on you of the whole of the universe or of the cosmos. Then what you create is classical art, you see. Not because somebody is dead, but the phenomenon of suffering due to separation of people who love, it's a universal thing. And when the individual has got the impact of an event or an incident, he has to allow his own individual excessive reactions to wear off and to take what is of the cosmic import, so to significance, into his inner consciousness and give it an expression which will be available to everyone. So that a song of sorrow today Homer's Iliad for the matter of that. You take one which is very simple. Well, today can move thousands of people, though the suffering that came might have been perhaps not as the poet has expressed. But poet has taken this incident and turned it into a cosmic or universal experience and given it a classical well form. Romantic spirit, when it takes hold of art, is that which brings out the striking and the individual and throws the universal in the background. That would give you the romantic spirit. Now, all these ideas of classicism, romanticism, and realism, and all that, really speaking to this, that the background of artistic creation, it requires vision and inspiration, and not merely work of reason. And art creation, even when you create art, the great art, you have to make a selection. That selection is made by aesthetic capacity. You take two people to make a landscape and you will see the difference immediately. The selective faculty has to be at work. You can't, two people will not, then it will photograph. You see, the landscape passes through the aesthetic capacity or faculty of the artist, and when it comes out, well, it comes out differently because it takes the individual color. You see, it's not nature as it is represented, but nature as well seen by a selection of it is made by the artist. It requires selection and rejection of things which are unimportant, and faithfulness to what is perceived, to a harmony, to a sense of beauty. Relation of form to the idea also. Whatever form is given, well, one has to see that that which is behind the form also is faithfully represented. A part of vision, inseparable from the act of creation. The whole artistic creation is inseparable from the total vision. It is not separate and arrived at by discrimination or by reason coming in and dictating what must be selected and what must be rejected. It comes as a whole, indivisible, part of one total vision. In both the creation and appreciation of art, therefore, reason has to play a part which is secondary. And intellect cannot claim, well, eminence or superiority there, or cannot be the dictator. And because if you bring in an intellect, it will try to analyze. That is what they are all doing very often nowadays, because in the modern art, intellect has taken precedence over this intuitive capacity, because man is searching for a subjectivity, and in searching for the subjectivity, he is being moved by the current dominance of reason, and so he wants to get at the subjectivity and tries to go in, and he says, well, my subjectivity may be subconscious, why not? My subjectivity may be something elemental. My subjectivity may be something which may carry me to the animal level. Why not? Well, he is completely entitled in one sense. The only question is whether the creation is artistic or the form is that which has the immortality of true art or great art. Well, that time alone will decide. There is no hurry about these problems. You see, one needn't to criticize too strongly or say one shouldn't. Human spirit may be left free to make experiment, to find out for itself what is the right thing. But here he is pointing out that if you bring in intellect, it will try to analyze, and beauty or aesthetics not analyzable. You take beauty, you can't analyze it. There is either it is there or it's not there. You can say something, but it's a rough account of the matter. It's not knowledge of it, you know. It's if you take beauty and say in what consists beauty? Oh, then you say, oh, things must be, the parts must be related to the whole harmoniously. All right. And then as I put some meeting that machine's part may be harmoniously set. Would you call it beauty? The parts of the machine are you see set. No. So yes, then you say, oh no, the form must be such that the form must carry, and then you say, well, must express that which is to be expressed perfectly. Yes, that is true. But what was to be expressed and how analysis will not get you at that. You see, it is when you say beauty, you say that I'm attracted by it. That's all that you want to say, perhaps. or that the form and the soul here are so inseparable that I think I must take it as a whole, and the whole makes a great sense to me. That's all that you want to say, perhaps. You don't know what you want to say when you say a thing is beautiful. You can't analyze it. As soon as you take a rose and analyze it, you throw it into petals and then it ceases to be a rose. Or you take a lyre and take out all the wires and say, where is the music of it? Well, it's only you got wire and wood and nothing else. That is analysis of piece of art. It doesn't lead you anywhere. It's not analyzable. Insight, intuitive response, that is what you can have if you have. Literary and artistic criticism, therefore, reason also can play some part into some extent. Appreciation also is very often instinctive. And rules are necessary for creation just to guide, not to dictate creation. You cannot dictate creation. You can have rough rules like, roads where your sign is given to you that this is the road. But you are at perfect liberty to make out your own road afterwards. When you walk sometime on the road, you make out your own road afterwards. Whatever you call the technique and law and canon of art, well, it's only for a temporary purpose to serve the artist, to give him a foothold for his creation. Really speaking, a revolt is bound to come as soon as laws and canons and technique have lasted about a generation or two. They're bound to come, and the new creator will come and say, well, I break all your laws and break all the laws and still create beauty. That is, and then another technique, another law, and another canon comes into existence, lasts for again 40 years. Well, that's how it works. That's good. Appreciation is best by an exaltation of the soul. Intuitive intelligence can take up the work of, intellect in the artistic field. Reason helps at the most to purify the aesthetic impulse in man and his instinct, but it does not give the highest satisfaction. It is because what we seek through beauty is, this is most important, is what we seek through religion, the absolute. We are seeking the absolute of beauty, the divine. It is a seeking of the all beautiful, so to say. It may be in man, it may be in nature, it may be in life, it may be in thought, it may be in action, but that is what we are seeking in beauty. The all beautiful, the divine. Yes. The divine is beauty and delight, hidden in the masks of the forms which express it. The forms express that divine delight and beauty. And to find the highest beauty is to find this presence of the divine as beauty in the form. To reveal and to embody that and to create the highest beauty is to bring out, you see, of our souls the living image and power of God. The living image and power of God, when you can bring out, that is the expression of the sense of aesthetics in man. Now, as this beauty seeks something beyond reason, and we see that in its actual operation, it is not at all rational but supra-rational, subject to vision, inspiration, intuition, insight. There is another realm. Truth we have seen is supra-intellectual. Now he comes to the third point, the good. The true, the good, and the beautiful. Each one seeks not the rational, but the supra-rational. The good that you seek, he says now in this chapter that follows, is active being of man is a seeking for his highest self, highest reality. That which he is in himself, man wants to realize and express in his actions. And when we say seeking for its very highest and truest and fullest being or fullest self, we mean that he is seeking the divine. That is all that we mean by the divine. Finding the infinite in the finite, raising all relations that we have to the relation with the absolute. That is to say, there is an omnipresent reality or a truth in which all the entangled discords of this multiplicity, these separated beings and their conflicting, lives or conflicting consciousnesses. They are intertwining, colliding, tendencies, forces, interests, instincts, impulses, different aspect of this multiplicity that is life, collectivity. We want to know that the unity, the one omnipresent reality in which all is unified and harmonized. That is what we are seeking in life, really speaking. Life is a seeking for harmony. In fact, he began his life divine by saying, all problems of life are problems of harmony. In the sense that there is a perception of disharmony and there is a feeling, instinctive, instinctive feeling that there must be harmony discoverable. That's otherwise, if that instinct was not there, you could be satisfied with disharmony. After all, you say, oh, struggle for existence is the law. They said for some years, 30, 40 years it lasted. And it the human intellect of Europe, with it also. And tried to justify the war, the First World War. Von Bernhard, he wrote a book, War, a Biological Necessity. That was one book written by one German general before the First World War, you see. Because struggle for existence is a law of nature. Then man is in nature, therefore struggle for existence is his law. Now that reduces first to the stock, stones and the vegetable kingdom and the animals. Well, if man is satisfied to be classed with the animals, it's all right. But he always claims that he's superior. Unfortunately, he always thinks that he's not an animal. He is far superior to the animal kingdom. But he wanted to act according to the law of the animal kingdom. Struggle for existence. It's not the only law. Yes, the struggle is there. And then if you take that as a whole law, then you can justify any massacre afterwards. Because in the struggle, the best must survive. And to prove that you are the best, well, you alone must survive. The other fellow must go to the wall, isn't it? Otherwise, he will be best otherwise, you see. So you're not to allow somebody. That's what actually Hitler wanted to do. He said, this is the best nation. And in the interest of mankind, it must not only survive, conquer, and dictate to everyone what they must be like, because we are the people who are fit. Well, that is what survival of the fittest drives man to. Ultimately, if it is applied, partially, with a partial truth applied as if it was a whole, it leads to this difficulty. Now, here he says that there is a unity in omnipresent reality, in which all this entangled expression of discords in collective life, all the multiplicity, which we call life, in which there are so many elements that variance, separation, conflict, differences, and so on, find their unity in their diversity. Not unity by crushing the diversity, remember, because variation is the law of that one. Variation is the law of that omnipresent reality. Omnipresent reality is not wedded to a uniform or unitarian unity in the sense that all differences must be, steamrollered. No, all differences have to be justified in the sense of realizing their own truths. And if all variations find out their own, live according to the truth, there will be perfect harmony. That is a claim of people who believe in this perfection of individual and collective life, is that there is a truth in which if the individual and the collectivity learn to live and express that in life, there will be perfect harmony. Well, this looks very, very, very strange. But you look at a machine which is complicated today, and if you study the working with the machine, you see it must not work nicely, but it does. The way in which they bring out designs and color patterns and printing, calico printing on cloth today, staggering how the machine can be made to do that, and how the all kinds of the apparatus that are at work are working in perfect harmony. Absolutely, one thing delivers over mechanically, takes it over, another takes it over, third, fourth, fifth, like that. At the end of it, the whole thing goes out. If you study even the printing of the geographical magazine, I don't know how many of you have seen the geographical magazine press. It was printed in one of their magazines. You see, National Geographical Magazine. It is put at one end, and at other end it comes out folded and everything finished, bound and folded. 2.5 million copies. This is the result of human intellect and scientific knowledge. Now we are dealing with a psychological problem and a truth, an omnipresent reality in which all can find their perfect harmony in their varied expression. If a machine can do so much and work in perfect harmony, one process with the other, without either colliding or blowing up everything, well, why shouldn't the human being be capable of a harmony in which the multiplicity and diversity of multiplicity also finds its proper fulfillment? There is no reason to doubt it. Yes, it is not easy. Then nothing great is very easy. Everything that is worth achieving is always at the end of a good trial. So it is only to first to understand that diversity has a place. The whole problem today, because reason is dominating, is to wipe out all differences, to wipe out all variations. All must be like, each one must be like everybody else. Because reason says otherwise, my scheme and my plan does not seem to work out well. You see, reason has a conception that if everyone was to be happy, everyone must get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and go to his work. Well, quite right. If I have to have a perfect society, well, everyone must do like that and must work 8 hours a day and come back, and then he must not do this, he must do this, he must do this. This is all right. Where is his fulfillment? This is the fulfillment of somebody, 5 people, 1 people, or somebody who can dictate. He wants to have a what you call regimentation, you see. And regimentation is in the air because reason is the dominating power. And the one thing that reason wants to do is to act according to law. Law means one thing for everyone. Exactly, it wipes out all variations and differences and therefore takes away all fulfillment of the individual. That is one reason why reason cannot be and should not be allowed to be the one dominating factor in individual or collective life as a last thing. It can guide, yes. When you are infrarational, reason can be taken as a guide, but to put it as if it was the one thing that could govern life would be to reduce life to a condition in which there would be no element of fulfillment left. Now here, religion and art frees us from this pressure of outward appearances of life, from necessities and utilities. And this is its greatest service. That is why we want to stress art in the life of man today. Is so much accustomed to look at life, even at art nowadays, for what it pays. It's most ridiculous, but it is that. You can't help it. The domination is such. You can't get out of this tentacle of the octopus. You see, it is now art is really meant to release this man from the pressure of necessity, cramping needs of the body, and the grinding wheel of life. It is art that releases for the first time and makes man feel that the world is not to be looked at from the glass of need and necessity, from desire and ambition, but you can look at it freely as it is. And when you look at it as it is, you see, it is beautiful. You see, if you are a flower, a florist, and you grow flower for selling in the market, then naturally your idea of the rose will be how much it is going to bring in the evening and what is the outcome, isn't it? That's all. So many roses means so much money. Well, that takes you away from the very mystery of the whole process. Take away that sense, and then you look at the flower. Then you say, oh, what a wonderful, it's a really beautiful thing. Doesn't matter whether it brings a scent or not, it is marvelous. It is worth $1,000 cannot make up for one rose. The labor that nature has given, the form, the design, the color, the beauty and the fragrance, you say such a combination, well, you can't pay for it. You can't pay for it. Yes. You see, that is how it frees the human consciousness from this pressure of need, necessity, and utility. Makes see the world freely. And when world is looked at freely, well, it reveals something which the glass of necessity is always preventing man from seeing. And it first of all gives a man leisure. And that is what modern time takes away. And I argued this in London when I was there 55, you see. I said, I am coming from a poor country. And I can't give you anything because we are not industrially advanced. We are trying to advance. You kept us back. I told the British people, so I tell you kept us back for 150 years. So we are also idle. I must say that you could have made a little more progress, but you did prevent. You know that we couldn't make a boiler under the British law. You couldn't manufacture a boiler in India. In wartime, Tata actually volunteered to take up preparing the air engines. No, not allowed. Even the railway engines were not allowed to be manufactured in India because they had to sell there. That's all right. Well, it's all this is no grievance. Point is that I told them we are from poor country, and so you don't expect any return from me. But we owe a great debt of culture to you because the impact of European culture through England was responsible for awakening our national spirit, our literature, our arts, our poetry. All fields of life got some life. Well, because we are not yet completely dead, fortunately. So we reacted well, and the reaction was that we went in for a new creation, but it was due to your impact. So we owe you debt of culture to you. Ideas of freedom, democracy, individual liberty, reason, rationalism, sacredness of the individual, many things we learned. And I mean, we had them, but to get them like that from a living culture is something very fine and very great. So I said, that's why I come. And I have come to pay the debt back. That we have something which you can take if you like. I can't force it on you. I'm coming from a poor country, so I can't bring a bag of money to you, but I bring something. And we have something which you haven't got. Two things we have. One thing, we have leisure. We have leisure you haven't got. So get it from us if you can. You borrow leisure, yes. There was a friend of ours who said, oh, I want to talk to you, but when will it be next time? I said, yes, tomorrow. Oh, but I said, all right, but then what? Oh, but you see, 1 month and then Saturday I have to go. I have an appointment, and then somebody has to see, and then will it be after 40 days? All right, I said, if I'm here, certainly 40 days, 45 days, I'll be here. I have no idea. It's all right. It's your business. Well, so I said, we have leisure. If I am interested, I say, I put up everything and said, yes, come along now. What is the matter? We sit down and talk 1 hour, 2 hours. You don't mind. This may be not very wonderful, but it is quite something very human and good. So get some leisure from us. And second thing we have is some great personalities who never think about India and for India. They always think for the world. If you have a Tagore, he always thinks of, well, not about India, but about the world. Or if there is a Gandhi, he thinks about the world. Or if there is Sri Aurobindo, he thinks about the whole humanity. He thinks of how to make man realize his divinity. They never think about themselves or the country and little bit. They always think that vast, vast. And this is something which you can take from us because these people have worked for you also. What they have given is equally your right to take because they have always thought for humanity. So try to take what they have to give. And I have come to explain their contribution to human culture. If you want to understand, I am here. And I want to tell you that this culture you have created is very mechanical. And it is crushing the human material. And they were quite, people of intellectual status, some of the university people. They had to admit the contention of cultural basis which I gave, that it was true. They couldn't say no to it. I said, this is like a machine, 24 hours working. I don't object to 24 hours working, but it is grinding the human material. How are you going to save? Make man run it for 25 hours, but save him his soul out of it. Well, they couldn't do. Now, he is telling here that leisure, that came out of leisure. It turns away from the transient to the eternal. What we are busy with. This must be done, that must be done, that must be done, that must be done. And at the end of it, you say, us, after that, what? You've done everything, and then what? Then you say, oh, we must get away from the transient to the eternal. When you get away from everything and in leisure, then you say, now The whole time is at our disposal, whole eternity. It immediately connects you from this pressing evanescence with eternity. Immediately you are widened out. That's the good of, seascape, a wide sea beach, or mountain, or sky, or a wide landscape. One advantage of it is the wideness of consciousness. Immediately you approach it and have some leisure of sitting down for half an hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes. You immediately feel, well, now I'm quite at ease and free. And what is this world? And what am I doing? And why am I doing? And what is all this? Well, you have some time to think. Otherwise, it's like a, you know, it's like a mule that is going around with its head down and all the time. Oh, it's a very pitiable view of humanity when you look at that, you see. There's no time to look at most marvelous thing by which he's surrounded. And he says in life, in Savitri, I don't know by what merit I inherited the sun, the stars, the earth, and the sky. You see, he puts it most marvelous that is what man is heir to, but no, he has no time to take his patrimony. Daily life and social existence are not apart from man's inner life, should not be. He is now showing the supra-rational in good. The good that man is seeking is not rational but supra-rational, and he is showing that the social existence of man, his daily life, should not be divorced from his inner life. It must be an expression of his inner life. When you say ethical life, morality, whenever reason is brought into ethics, it has tried to reduce it to law, to rule, to some sort of, it is good to be honest. When argument is given to reason, reason will argue out that honesty is the best policy. The more honest you are, the more earning will come to you. It doesn't say that doesn't matter if you don't earn, you must be honest. You see, even when ethics is given to reason, the reason generally stresses first the law, rule, mechanical, mechanising the whole process of behavior, one. And secondly, it reduces that to utilitarian point of view. It's good to be good to be honest, and so on. Well, in one sense, it is good to induce a man, but that should not be really the reason why one should do good or be good. To be good is for its own sake, really speaking. Ethical being is independent of these theories worked out by reason. Reason would say utility is very nice if you behave ethically, or hedonistic theory also is there for virtues, you see, that it gives you the greatest pleasure, it gives you delight, therefore you must be virtuous. Now that sort of inducement to virtue is not really correct, because virtue is independent of all this. I mean, seeking for perfection of conduct or action is something which goes beyond this dictation of reason and codification. Principle of good or instinct for good or vision of some ultimate good is quite independent of reason. It's not rational. Ethics begins very late, and it begins only when the mind of the individual becomes free from personal interest, preferences, his pleasures and his likes and dislikes. Then only true ethical being awakens. He says, I am not going to allow myself to be pleased or to be interested egoistically. I am going to control myself. Then only really ethics begins. Ethics doesn't begin by appealing to this sort of, the infra-rational movement of man's consciousness. It is not even socially necessary. Ethics is regarded many people that it is social morality is not true morality. It's not awakening of conscience. Social morality is necessary for keeping the existence of society, keeping society going. That's all. I mean, the rules in society are there which everybody observes, because otherwise social existence would not be possible. It's not that one who observes consciously, acts according to the dictate of social behavior. If a man doesn't steal, it is not that he wouldn't steal if he could, but well, he is afraid that if he is caught, he will be sent to jail, one. And even if he is known as one who steals, well, socially he will be boycotted or, looked down upon. It is that which, rather than real ethical movement in his consciousness, that taking somebody's property is not worthy of his, I mean, manhood. You see, that doesn't come to him. So social morality is something which is not real true ethics. You see, he may, you cannot refer to the good as if it is good for everybody, because there may be some good which you have to bring into existence against the whole society. There are people who appeal that you must behave, your conduct or behavior or action must be good because it is good of the majority or good of larger number of people. But you might have to do that good which might make you fight with the majority. In India, for instance, there is untouchability. Now, if a man is to feel that it is wrong, then he will be really doing good to all by fighting against all, isn't it? So that perception of good is not necessarily immediately the good of the collectivity. It may be ultimate good of the collectivity if the individual succeeds in fighting out successfully against the odds, I mean against the collective social pressure. It may have to fight with society the sense of good in man. And the deepest sense of good in man springs from the divine in him. Man's conscience is a creation of his evolving nature. It's not a creation of social pressure or social rules or social ethics. There is something constant in man. And when nature begins, it is infra-rational in the beginning. And at the end, it goes beyond reason and becomes supra-rational and supra-ethical also. Ethics begins when the infra-rational stage of man is dominant, and by appealing to reason, the instinct of good gets developed. He feels the necessity of the right. He feels that necessity of a law, but doesn't know why this law is pressing from within. This is called in modern language a value. Some people call it value. Value is the rising of an instinctive perception of what is proper or good in the consciousness of man. And not only it is merely a concept or an idea, but it has a dictative force. Value is something which you don't merely hold as a principle, then it's not value. Then it's only intellectual belief. You can say principle in which you have faith or belief. But a value is that which dictates behavior. It rises in you with this imperative ought. It simply says, you must not, or you must. And something in you says, I must obey it. There is no outside agency. There is nobody from outside coming and telling you anything. But the individual has within him a center, the origin of which he doesn't know. He doesn't know always that it is the divine center or anything, nothing. But a voice can arise if the individual is developed, if he is sensitive, if he is, say, if he has outlived the infra-rational stage and gone beyond his, impulses and instincts and, crude desires. When he has outgrown that, then he has a conscience which is developed. And that conscience comes out with a sort of a dictation, with a voice which is imperative. And this imperative voice is really the value. Value is that which you cannot oppose. When it arises, you say no. You may have full liberty to do what you want to do, but something in you says you cannot do and you wouldn't be able to do it. Well, that is the value. Here he refers to that origin, that it's a creation of this value begins with infra-rationality, but it is attained securely in the supra-rational. When you are in contact with the supra-rational, then what you behave will be perfect in the sense that it will come from above, like a action which is dictated by inspiration, by an inner guidance, an inner discrimination which gives you what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. The value of action, I'm quoting his sentence, the value of action lies not so much in the apparent nature and in its outward results as in the help which it renders towards the growth of the divine within us. It is possible to relate our inner being to an eternal and absolute good. One can connect himself with eternal and absolute good. Ethics is not merely an account of good and evil and balancing between the two. No. Ethics is not merely to find out the distinction between good and evil and follow always the good. No. It is to go beyond the distinction of good and evil to an eternal good. Reference to which will always give you that which must be done. Kartavyam karma, as they say in Sanskrit, that which must be done. Well, it is possible to relate the inner being to this eternal good and absolute good. Ethics is not an account of between good and evil. It's an attempt to grow into our own possible divine nature. Ethics is an attempt to grow into our own divine nature, which is possible for us. You see, it's possible. For instance, the effort at purity, effort to have realized truth or to act according to right, or sympathy, charity, strength to help others. All these are elements which have nothing to do with account of good and evil. You see, they are in one sense outside the classification, so to say. And when you have contacted this source of eternal good, then man is not laboriously virtuous, he says in this chapter. He is not artificially moral, but is naturally divine. A man is moved by that higher consciousness and higher will. An ethical being in us seeks this reality of the divine nature within us and wants to live it. Well, I want to do one more chapter, but time always flies far. I don't know what to do. That is 50.